Hello everyone, my name is Karina, and in today's video I'll present you my machine learning project. So basically it is a smart budgeting assistant incorporated into the banking app. Many people struggle with allocating their spendings, with planning their spendings, and actually staying within the budget. Often they realize too late that they overuse their money for this month, that they cannot afford a certain thing, and that they missed a payment. And because of that, overdrafts happen, missed payments, financial stress. My idea is to create a machine learning system that will analyze a user's transaction history, their spending patterns, and predict their future spending and how to better allocate it, make recommendations on that. Also, it will send immediate alerts on the specific purchases when it does not fit into the budget. Also, it will remind you of upcoming payments. According to the framework that we learned, machine learning idea has to satisfy three main criteria. The first one is that the problem is real. A lot of people actually struggle to manage their finances and need help on that. Also, it is really time consuming to track all of this and to plan it and to stay within the budget and to save money if needed. So second, if the problem is feasible, it is feasible, as banks already collect all this data, the transaction histories, the amounts of consumptions, the times of the transactions, the spending categories, and so on, their behaviors, consumption behaviors, and this all can be used to be analyzed and in the future used for the predictions. And the third one is that the solution has to create a business value. My smart budgeting assistant will actually improve financial health and also increase engagement with the banking app of the consumers. The target users are everyday consumers of the banking apps who need help with managing their personal finances. Right now, they check their balances manually, which is time consuming, and they might use simpler budgeting tools which do not predict future spending. But proposed idea, machine learning model would analyze historical transactions data and identify patterns of the behavior to predict and to make recommendations for the consumers. So success for this system can be measured in two ways by two metrics. First metric is outcome metrics. It measures the actual business impact, for example, reducing overdraft events or improving user engagement within the app. Second one is output metrics, which measures the performance of the model itself, such as prediction accuracy or errors, problems in predicting forecasts. Important factors that could affect predictions and the forecasts include transaction history, spending categories, income patterns, recurring payments, and seasonal spending changes. Before building the system, it is important to validate the solution with the potential users. First, I would create a simple prototype and share it with users so they actually try it and see. And then I would use interviews and small experiments so we could test whether these recommendation functions, the forecast functions, and the spending alert functions were actually useful for the consumers. And based on the feedback, we could improve the design before implementing the machine learning model. Now, I will briefly explain you machine learning design decisions. So first, we would use cloud-based architecture. Banks already store all the information, and also this architecture, this cloud-based model would allow us to analyze large data sets instead of Edge, who would only be able to analyze small data sets on the phone, on the device itself, rather than on the big server. Second, the model would use offline learning. The model would be retrained every period. For example, every week with the historical data, the model would be retrained. And this would be more useful as the spending patterns do not change that fast, and every week would be pretty convenient. Third, the system should use both batch and online predictions. Batch predictions will be used to make forecasts, for example, for the months, about the spending, about the recommendations and insights for the whole period. However, online predictions need to be used for the immediate alerts, warnings, and notifications, for example, when user is trying to make the purchase that will exceed his budget. Finally, there are potential risks when deploying the model. First is a data drift risk, which happens when the consumer behavior patterns, consumer spending patterns, they change over time. Second is concept drift risk, which happens when the relationship between spending patterns and financial outcomes does not correlate, and it changes due to some economic changes and lifestyle changes, for example. And to address these issues, the model has to be monitored all the time, and when the performance declines, we have to retrain the model again. In conclusion, a machine learning budgeting assistant can help users better manage their finances by making predictions, by analyzing transaction data that is already present in the banks, and this will also provide personalized alerts for purchases and to actually not exceed their budget, to prevent overdrafts, financial stress, and missed payments. Also, it will remind you of the upcoming payments. This system should improve the financial decision-making, financial health of the consumers, and make banking apps more useful and engaging for the customers. Thank you. Goodbye.